Hi, so in this session we're going to be making Florentines. They're a nice little petit four, so caramel, nuts, finished off with chocolate, so really delicious. I'm going to start by boiling up and making a sugar syrup, or boiling up some butter, cream and sugar. So I've got in here the 75 butter, 100 sugar, and then I've got 50 grams of double cream. So all I'm going to do, bring that up to 104 degrees, and then I'm going to add my 25 grams of honey. From then I'm going to bring it up to 115 degrees. I'm going to stir my other products through, so I've got some raisins, I've got some sliced almonds, and then I've just got some walnuts and some pistachios that I've pre-chopped just to make it easier for the video. So just like everything, I'm going to start with that low temperature heat because I've got sugar in there, and I don't want it to catch and crystallise, and I want that. I just want that sugar to dissolve before I bring it up to the boil. So my butter, my sugar's dissolved, so I'm just going to now just increase that heat, get that going. So I see now put it straight onto the high heat. It's starting to simmer. Now that's up to temperature. So I can now add that honey. Just give it a good stir in. There, lovely. So the colour of it has changed. It looks now like a caramel. See that colour? That is like a caramel. Just be careful, you know, when it starts to get up near 115, the sugar will want to catch. So I'm just going to add other ingredients. Just make sure those raisins have been used for a while, have been broken up. Stir that mixture through. So I'm now going to put that in between these two sheets of paper. You'll see different techniques. There'll be for making Florentines. Different techniques. This one I really like, but you can also roll the mixture into balls and then bake it, and then use a cutter to cut out the shape of the Florentine. Cut out those circles. So let me just. I'm just going to get a rolling pin. See that? Smells delicious, very similar to nougat, the smells, similar nuts, the honey. Just try and roll it out fairly flat. Obviously when you've got caramel, excuse me, when we've got caramel in here and we bake it, we don't want it to be too thick, because we want a nice mouthfeel if it is too thick. you're going to break the teeth on it. So you want these to be nice and crisp, but fairly thin. So we're not going to go to the extreme either of making them so thin that they'll snap. So I'd say they are, so I've done these to about 3 to 4 millimetres. Oh, that's close. So yeah, I'd say that it's between 3 to 4 millimetres. And now what I'm going to do, put this onto a tray, and I'm now going to put that in the freezer. So my mixture is now frozen. It's been in the glass chiller on high chill for about 15 minutes, so it's nice and frozen. And what I'm going to do now is just cut out discs of Florentine mix. So, the original recipe said 180 degrees, I've put 160 on here, because sometimes a lot of recipes work 20% lower, 20 degrees lower when you're using a rationale. And it also said 12 minutes, but I'm going to check after 8, but I'm going to keep an eye on them, because I didn't want to go to all of this effort and then they're ruined and burned. So I baked these at 160 degrees for 8 minutes. They don't need any more. If they get too dark, they can become even more brittle and they can even burn. You can see that they've actually spread out. So you can do it this technique. There's a couple of different recipes where it will tell you to then push the mixture back inside it before it sets. This isn't the technique I'm going to do. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting for this to start to firm up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch out the holes onto the mixture. Onto the Florentines. I'm going to punch it out and then get that nice clean Florentine off of it. From there, I'm going to then let them cool and I'm going to temper them in chocolate. If you wanted to, you can even do it where you just roll out a whole sheet of the Florentine mix, as I did originally, and then just bake it and let it spread out as well, and then cut it out like that. It's completely up to you. So, for cutting them out, this was the original cutter I used, and now I'm using a slightly bigger one for the final cutting. And this mixture will set up quite quickly, so you just want to work quite fast. You don't want to do it too soon that the mixture's too soft, but you don't want to wait too long so that the actual mixture goes brittle and it all cracks. So there we have it. I have I have 18 good ones. I've got a broken one there. Oh, sorry. Another one there. So I've got some spares, because obviously next we need to coat these in chocolate. So I've now tempered my chocolate. I've used the microwave method. So I've microwaved it, and it did actually get a little bit too warm. There was not enough buttons in there, so I actually put a few more buttons in there, and it's come down below temperature. I've tested it and it is setting off, so it's ready to go. So a couple of different ways we can do these. So I'm going to do a half dipped Florentine. This isn't the traditional way. Shake off the excess. lay that on there. So I'm going to do the same again with this one. Shake off the excess, you don't want the chocolate to be too thick. So that's one technique we could do. Another technique, we found the transfer sheets. You can buy the transfer sheets if you want on Amazon to have a look. They're a few pounds each. And so what you could do is you could, for example, lay the Florentine into the chocolate. Just make sure it's completely coated. And then what you could do is then sit that onto a transfer sheet. So sorry, I should have shaken off a little bit more of the excess on that one. I'm going to just do it again. So take that off. A very thin layer of chocolate. And what I do is I could lay that down onto the acetate, onto a transfer sheet and leave that to set, and then the transfer would be on the other side of the chocolate. Another thing that we could also do is we could lay it on a textured piece of plastic. So I could have like some little guttering effect plastic. I've got some that we could then lay the Florentines on, so it gives that kind of lined effect to the chocolate. We could also just lay it onto a sheet of acetate, and of course that would then mirror the acetate and will have a nice shiny finish to it. So this next one, I'm just going to lay it in the chocolate, make sure it's completely coated. This is not a clean job. Just make sure that the whole of the Florentine gets coated. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that down onto my greaseproof upside down. So I'm going to just do that some more. So that's now done. So I've got here a little comb that I've made out of a container lid, and all I'm going to do is just scrape that pattern into the chocolate before it sets off too much, because it's starting to set quickly now. So this is where again we need to work quickly. I went over there to wash up something, and I've come back, and the first few started to set off too much, so they've actually set too much. So it is only like 2 minutes, and then they're ready to go. But there we have it, our Florentines.